I believe the Golden State Warriors should trade for Michael Porter Jr. He is 6'10" and is averaging 7.5 rebounds a game, which would lead the team. He is also more willing to pass the ball this season, and having the chance to lead a team this year should have had an effect on how he sees the game. Maybe he will continue this if he were to be traded to the Warriors. But, of course, the main reason I want this deal done is because of his offense, where he's averaging nearly 26 points per game, and his three-point shooting, which is at a 41% clip this season. I feel like he would be a great small forward to make the starting lineup of Steph at point, Jimmy at the 2, MPJ at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and Post at the 5. This lineup will allow Draymond and Jimmy to not have to be the main rebounders on the floor, and Jimmy to only need to be the 4th best defender. Post is a true 7-footer who has taken a huge jump on the defensive end of the ball, and to the point where he is better on a night-to-night basis than Draymond. Speaking of Draymond, he is going to be able to play in the free safety role that he plays best at this point in his career. Then Jimmy and Michael Porter Jr. can be our perimeter defenders, who also have the size to hold their own against bigger players, allowing them to have better switchability on the defensive side of the ball. And you can have an easier time hiding Steph Curry on the defensive side of the ball, even though Steph is arguably better now on the defensive side than in his prime, now that he has bulked up and has a high basketball IQ. This lineup will be great at rebounding the ball and have enough offense that Draymond shouldn't be able to hold it back, as long as you run your offense through Steph and Jimmy and make Draymond sit in the corner. MPJ and Post are both great three-point shooters, and with Jimmy shooting over a 40% clip this season as well, Steph Curry should have plenty of help and shouldn't have to start off every game hot for the Warriors to have a chance to win the game. Along with MPJ, the Warriors should also pursue Day'Ron Sharpe, who is a 6'9" center and can help secure our center rotation. The idea of Post starting with Trace and Sharpe backing him up along with Al Horford when he's available to play is great, because I don't know about you, but Post has been great this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but Trace has also been a great backup when he is not trying to protect a 4-guard lineup thanks to Steve Kerr's mental illness. The duo of Guy Santos and Trace Jackson-Davis is great for consistent defense and rebounding off the bench, but it may be limited on offense. However, if you use them correctly, it won't be a problem. Trace is a great pick-and-roll player, and they have insanely high motors. Pairing them up with D'Anthony Melton, Will Richard, and Jimmy Butler as a backcourt, you will have elite defense and rebounding, as well as an offensive engine with Jimmy Butler to go up against second units of the other team. Day'Ron Sharpe is just another piece we could throw in if someone is injured, or if you want to run double center lineups like Sharpe and Post or Trace and Horford, which again are lineups that typically work when Steve Kerr actually uses them. The reason why our centers don't look as good as what they actually are is because Steve Kerr insists on using 3 and 4 guard lineups that don't work. Even when small ball used to work in our most recent title run, it was Steph, Clay, who was a great perimeter defender, Wiggins, who had a lockdown defense that year in the playoffs, Otto Porter Jr. as a stretch floor who could switch on to bigger players and rebound the ball, along with Draymond, who was still in the tail end of his prime. But if Steve really wants to run small ball, he can now run Steph at point, either Will Richard or D'Anthony Melton at the 2 for good POA defense, Jimmy, MPJ, and Draymond as your 3 forwards, which would set this up as a 3-forward lineup instead of a 3-guard lineup. And the 2-guard also brings great POA defense, but I would still rather him not do that. But the option is there. Now, I already told you about the Jimmy-centric lineup, but here is my Steph-centric lineup. It is Steph, GP2, MPJ, Draymond / Sharpe, and Post / Horford, depending on if this is the lineup Steve is running directly after the starting lineup. You will have Steph for your main offense, GP2 for POA defense, MPJ for more offense, defense, rebounding, as well as his elite 3-point shooting, being a 6'10" guy playing the small forward position. He has the high release point, and he elevates well as well. At 6'10" is insane, and shooting 41% this year. That is what this team needs. A bigger 4 for defense and rebounding, and a stretch 5 that can also play as the anchor of the defense. With your starting lineup and your Jimmy/Steph-centric lineups will just need a couple of on-the-fly lineups that are based on matchups that are still secured defensively and can rebound, as well as giving you good spacing for offense. The Warriors should be able to compete with anyone. It would still all come down to Steve Kerr to figure it all out, because, you know, he's an idiot. Basically, with Michael Porter Jr.'s and Day'Ron Sharpe's size will allow for more secure defensive lineups that will also be able to rebound the ball better while keeping an efficient offense. Now for what the Warriors will have to give up. The Warriors will have to trade away Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and Buddy Hield, and up to like 3 first-round picks. I don't know. Or as what the Nets are gonna look at it as 3 young promising players and Buddy Hield for salary. None of these players are locked in on major deals long-term, so the Nets won't be stuck with them for too long if they weren't a fan of them to begin with. Jonathan Kuminga is a player the Nets could have stolen from the Warriors this past offseason, but chose not to because they did not want to pay him long-term. But he is on a deal that pays him $2.5 million this year and a team option of $2.3 million next season. So they can hold on to them if they want to explore his high ceiling, but can easily move off of him if they are afraid of his low floor. In my opinion, Jonathan Kuminga is one of Steve Kerr's greatest failures. He has flashed his potential as a slasher and maybe even a mid-range scorer if you look back on his February 2024 tape, you know, when he just jumps, turns around, and shoots, going off both feet. He doesn't go off both feet right now, and that's why his mid-range scoring sucks. But in February 2024, that's what he did. He also showed at the beginning of this year a playmaking jump and willingness to go after rebounds. He's literally averaging 6.2 rebounds a game, which would be leading the Warriors if Steve Kerr would play him. Currently, the leader is Draymond with 5.9. However, there isn't much potential on the defensive side of things, so they might not want him. That's why the picks are there. Moses Moody has shown to be a starting level 3 and D2 guard who could help balance things when Kuminga is on the floor. He is set to make about $12.5 million a year through the next 2 years, so won't be clogging up cap space too bad. Again, I feel like Steve Kerr could have played him more his first 3 seasons in the league instead of just leaving him on the bench, and he might get like a couple minutes at the end of the game if we're blowing a team out. And Moody might have been considered untradeable this trade deadline if we actually decided to develop him. Then there's Pods, who is still on his rookie deal through next year, but I feel like his problem isn't that Steve Kerr hasn't played him, it's that he runs him into the ground and takes away minutes from other players like Will Richard. This is why Warriors fans don't like him, but he is still a hustle player who is willing to take charges and go after rebounds, giving you a little scoring off the bench along with solid playmaking. Not great defensively, but serviceable. Throw in Buddy Hield for salary and a couple post-Steph Curry firsts, and the Nets should make it out of this trade just as well as the Warriors. That is setting up a bright future, while the Warriors become more of a contender for the remainder of Steph's prime. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and hopefully see you again this year.